Greetings and welcome to the second installment of Dissertation Diaries. Today I want to talk to you about a handful of things. What's happened to me a little bit this week. I want to go over an overview of the chapters in a proposal, let you know what's happening there, and let you know some of the things that I've actually accomplished this week, which is not a whole lot. Let's start with my week. My week was very, very difficult. I had a lot of personal, emotional issues happen this week. And at first, I decided that I didn't necessarily want to mention that and explain why I didn't do more than I did. But one of the people in a guidance committee that I'm talking to about this dissertation diaries said that it might be good to include that because the real world happens to all of us, and it will happen to you too. And the real world happened to me this week in spades. It was very difficult. So I just want to share that with you. I had a very rough week, one of the roughest weeks in several years. It was just very, very difficult on a number of levels. And I didn't get as much done. That said, let's talk a little bit about what is a dissertation. A dissertation consists of 5 chapters. And the very first 3 chapters are necessary to be approved before you can proceed to the last 2. The first 3 chapters are called the proposal. And the proposal has to go to a committee and go through a bunch of approvals that I still don't understand. But the most important thing right now in the process, and I'm 4 weeks into the dissertation journey, the most important thing is to get those first 3 chapters approved for the proposal. I've written chapter 1, it's pretty good. I've written chapter 2, it's not as good as it could be, and I need more work to go into it. Chapter 3, I haven't even attempted yet. Let me tell you a little bit what the chapters are. Chapter 1 is an introduction. That is the introduction to the entire dissertation, and that's necessary as part of the proposal. Chapter 2 is arguably the most difficult chapter of the entire dissertation. It's the literature review. And the literature review has a bunch of sections and a bunch of material. A literature review can easily exceed 100 pages. You have to know the literature in and out. You have to explain how you surveyed, what search terms you used in which databases, how you decided which literature to include and which literature not to include. The literature review is brutally difficult. My literature review right now stands at probably 10 or 12 pages total, nowhere near long enough. And I've made several false starts at the literature review. This week in particular, though, I was pretty excited. What I did was I used How to Write a Literature Review video by Guy White, Dr. Guy White. I'll put a link in the bottom of this one, and I would encourage you to look at it. It's an hour long. You can make it through it, and it's very useful. What it does, it talks about a technique for building a literature matrix that you can then use to synthesize several articles around different topics. It took me weeks to get this literature matrix reviewed, even after I'd gone through a lot of the articles. And I have 170 some odd snippets of information so far out of a bunch of different articles. I'm going to continue to write from this literature review, and I'm going to add articles to the literature review. What I did this week was I added 2 articles to this literature matrix, and now what I'm doing is going through and taking all of that material and putting in sections. Today, Sunday, this is Sunday, October 28th, I guess it is. Today what I did was I wrote 2 sections out of the literature matrix, 2 synthesis sections, and put them into my literature review. I don't know that I'll get many more than that done before this is due on Wednesday, the 31st, Wednesday, Halloween. I'll get as many done as I can. I've got to do some proofreading and some other things and get it done. So there you have it. The proposal's the first 3 chapters. That's introduction, literature review, this is where everybody stumbles, and the methodology. The methodology I'll deal with later. After that's approved, it goes through a whole approval process with a committee. After that happens, then you come back and you do the data collection. You go out and do your research, collect all the data, you analyze it in chapter 4 and the conclusions chapter 4 and the conclusions chapter 5. That's what a dissertation is.